This is my Restoration Shaman guide for Season 2 of The War Within. Yes, I've seen all of your comments. I'm finally uploading the Restoration Shaman video. I'm really sorry, guys, that it has taken a bit longer this season. I've had some health issues, etc. going on, but don't worry, here it is finally. So what you're going to see here is we have a mana bar, of course. I've added this big action bar, which is how I'm going to show you the rotation and spells we're using. Because it's a healer, it's not so much of a rotation or a priority list. It's more of a do what is needed in the moment. However, there still is a priority list that we're kind of using. So I just want to tell you that. We are going for Totemic, which focuses on our chain heal build that we're using. Unfortunately, the Farseer, which I do enjoy as well, just isn't very good this season. So Totemic is the one we are going with for the hero talents. And again, both builds for single target. Sorry, not single target. I'm so used to doing DPS videos recently. Raid healing and Mythic plus healing, they are both chain heal based builds. So let's get into it. We're starting off with the raid build. And there's a talent I need to tell you about. And that is this one here, High Tide. So we're starting off at the highest priority. Every 1 million mana you spend brings a High Tide, making your next 2 chain heals heal for an additional 10% and not reduce with each jump. So then, chain heal heals the friendly target and then jumps up to 30 yards to heal the 4 most injured nearby allies. It's reduced by 30% with each jump, but when you get a High Tide, it won't be. And that's every 2 million mana that you spend. If you're using a weak aura like me, I would say that's the best way to track it. Let me just turn off these action bars that I've got for you. Turn off that one. Can you see here on my weak aura, it says 2, 8, 7, 6, going down. That's your High Tide there. And you can tell as well that you've got a High Tide. I'm not going to do it in time. Because your chain heal... There we go. So I've got a High Tide now. As you can see on my buff bar down here, a High Tide, chain heal heals for an additional amount and is not reduced with each jump. Your chain heal will light up like this, so you can see when it's active there as well. I like to see it on the weak aura here. I'm using the Luxfoss Shaman weak aura for that one. So you want to buff, the number one priority is to actually buff your Unleash Life into your chain heal when you have a High Tide. And this is going to give you the ultimate grandiose chain heal ever invented. So what does Unleash Life do? Well, it's only on a 15-second cooldown, so do use it on cooldown. Unleash the elemental forces of life, healing a friendly target for X amount, and increasing the effect of your next healing spell. And as you can see here, on chain heal, 15% increased healing and bounces to an additional target. So basically, the number one priority in a raiding environment with chain heal is, 1, if we have High Tide, which is increasing healing and stopping it from reducing with each jump, not dump, oh my goodness. And then what we do on top of that is we go, okay, Unleash Life, a 15% increased healing, and it's going to bounce an additional time. And remember, it's not going to reduce healing on those bounces, even including the additional jump. So Unleash Life with High Tide, with Chain Heal, all comes together for your number one priority. If you're thinking, good lord, that sounds a bit complex, then just listen to this bit again. It all comes together really nicely. Secondly, if you don't have Unleash Life available, then we will just use a High Tide buffed Chain Heal if 3+ people are missing their health, which often they are in raiding, unfortunately. Then we're going to use our Surging Totem on cooldown. This is from the hero talents. It summons a totem at the target location and maintains Healing Rain within 30% increased effectiveness. And it actually replaces your Healing Rain. So if you're thinking, where's my Healing Rain? It's now your Surging Totem. Healing Rain blankets a target area with Healing Rains, restoring health to allies in that area. We do also have Acid Rain in both the Raiding and Mythic Plus talents. Deals nature damage to enemies inside your Healing Rain. Not as important in Raiding. I mean, it will help if it is where the enemies are, but really you're just doing it where people are grouped up for healing. But just an FYI on Acid Rain there. So we put our Surging Totem down, and you can see it there. It's healing everyone in this area. And then if we need a lot more AoE healing, we can click it again for Downpour. A burst of water at your Surging Totem's location heals up to 5 injured allies and increases their maximum health. So we can click that if we need a bit of extra healing in the area of our Surging Totem. Next thing, keep your Riptide on cooldown. And this is the highest priority at the left, going down to the lowest priority. But obviously it depends on the situation, of course, as a healer. keep Riptide on cooldown. You get 2 charges. It heals the target immediately and then over 18 seconds. You can just use this on individuals who need healing. We then have Earthen Wall Totem. You can put that again wherever you like. You can see where it goes by the barrier here. And the Earthen Wall summons a totem. Damage from each attack against allies is redirected to the totem. So it's reducing damage taken by your allies, and it's redirecting it to the totem. After it's taken X amount of damage, it will just disappear. We've then got Cloudburst Totem. Just make sure you don't cap on charges. It summons a totem that collects power from all of your healing spells, and when it expires or dies, the stored power is released, healing everyone for 30% of all healing done while it was active, and it will actually divide that among the targets that it does heal. So if I, again, like your Surging Totem, so I can place this down, this Cloudburst Totem, and if I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's about to die, I can click it again to immediately release the healing stored. Ideally, you would let it die off on its own, because obviously it's collecting up healing that you do while it's active, and then when it expires, it releases all that healing, or 30% of it. But sometimes you may obviously need to, use up the healing stored before it ends. So you just click it again, and it will release that healing early. But obviously, it hasn't been active for as long, and therefore will not have as much healing to release. Hopefully that makes sense. You do have 2 charges of it, so just make sure that you're not capping out on charges, because it is only on a 39-second recharge, and it's kind of a waste to have both charges sitting there. So always use at least 1 charge, and have one charge coming off cooldown. Not necessarily both, just always at least 1, so that it's always at least coming off cooldown and you are making use of it. Surging Totem is here again. So the reason it's down here and here is because we're using it here to make sure we keep it on cooldown in the priority list, and we're using it here as Downpour. So we use it here to keep it on cooldown, but we're using it here as this Downpour button to do the extra healing when needed. But generally, you'll just be keeping Surging Totem on cooldown at all times. It's not like a DPS where you're going down the priority list like you are, but at the same time, like, your Surging Totem should just always be used on cooldown. Earth Shield, you can put this on yourself and somebody else, usually the tank. It increases healing on the person by 20% and healing them when they take damage. Then we have our Chain Heal. So at this point, it's pretty much just use Chain Heal without any buffs, if multiple people are injured. And then if individual people are injured, then you can use Healing Surge or Healing Wave. Healing Wave is an efficient little heal, only costing 62,000 mana, but it's 2.3 second cast. It's quite long. Whereas for double the mana, you can get Healing Surge. It's double the mana, but half the cast time, but does about the same healing. So if it's an uh-oh moment, use Healing Surge. If you can wait it out, use Healing Wave, basically. And that's it. We do have some cooldowns here. Healing Tide Totem summons a totem at your feet, which heals everyone nearby. Bloodlust, of course, increasing the haste by everyone in the party in raid. Your raid leader will generally tell you when to use this. Earth Elemental increases your maximum health and protects everyone. Stone Bulwark, this is another cooldown that prevents damage from being taken. And then there's Windrush Totem I want to include, because this can be really useful. Like if I place it here, say, and the raid are all running through here, it speeds everyone up that runs through it. So it's a really great cooldown that we can use that really can often mean life or death, because you need to get from A to B as quickly as possible. Actually a really good cooldown. There is one I forgot to put on here, which is, Totemic Projection on a 10-second cooldown will relocate your active totems to a different location. So if everyone's moving, you can use that. And then Totemic Recall resets the cooldown of your most recently used totem with a base cooldown of shorter than 3 minutes, which is all of them. So if you use Healing Tide Totem and then you need it again, you can use Totemic Recall, so you can technically get whichever totem you need off cooldown ASAP. Your most recently used one, though, remember, off cooldown to use it again. And that is the raid rotation. We've also got Earth Living Weapon. You should be putting on your weapon for an hour all the time. It's like a shaman-only enchant, basically. Your Riptide, Healing Wave, Healing Surge, and Chain Heal have a 20% chance to heal extra on the target. Water Shield, you want to have this on you at all times. Don't forget you can also have your Earth Shield on you and another target at all times, so you have both of those up on you. You regain some mana when a melee attack hits you. And you also get mana every 5 seconds. There's also Sky Fury, which if you've been a long-term WoW player, you will kind of know about this. This grants an ally mastery and empowers their auto attacks to instantly strike again for an hour, which used to be called Wind Fury Totem back in the day. So I hope that all makes sense. So just to go over it one more time before we move on to the talents. Oh, do you know what? I've forgotten something. Nature Swiftness. Your next healing spell is instant cast and costs no mana. Use it on a chain heal. You could use it on a Unleash Life High Tide chain heal if you need really big healing, etc., etc. And there's also Spirit Link Totem, which I didn't mention. Oh my god, sorry guys. Summons a totem at the target location, and what this is going to do is it's going to reduce damage taken by all party and raid members by 15% immediately and every 1 second, and I love this totem so much, it redistributes the healing, the health of affected targets, evening out their health. It's amazing. I love it. We also have Ascendance on a 2-minute cooldown, transforming into a Water Ascendant, duplicating all healing you deal at 70% effectiveness for 15 seconds, and immediately healing a massive amount, and it's distributed evenly among allies. So these two things here do a similar thing with distributing health. But yeah, amazing cooldowns. We have quite a lot of cooldowns these days as a shaman, and I absolutely love it. So going on to the other talents that are really important that we need to know about. You've got your Healing Rain, replaced by Surging Totem. Healing Stream is now your Cloudburst Totem. We also have Tidal Waves. When you cast Riptide, it grants you, which is this one here that I said to use on cooldown on individuals. It grants you 2 stacks of Tidal Waves, and they reduce the cast time of your next chain heal or healing wave by 20%, or increase the critical effect chance of Healing Surge. So Healing Surge being your quick and inefficient heal. Chain heal, you're probably going to be using this on the most. When you consume those tidal waves, it has a chance to reduce the cooldown of your Healing Stream, Cloudburst, or Healing Tide mana, and Cleansing Totems by 3 seconds. So again, more importantly, using that Cloudburst totem and making sure it's never got 2 full charges, because you'll be reducing the cooldown on it a bit as well. Earth Shield reduces damage taken, and healing. Its healing is increased as its target's health decreases, which is really amazing. Don't forget to use that on the tank or whoever's taking the most damage, and also yourself. One good thing to know, so usually your Earth Shield and Water Shield, they have like charges, and they will lose charges as they're kind of used. With Pharazane's Resilience, you have Earth Shield and Water Shield no longer lose charges, so they're up forever, which is awesome. And then we have Deeply Rooted Elements. Casting Riptide has a 7% chance to activate Ascendance, which is this cooldown I spoke about, for 6 seconds. You can also go to Wellspring if you like. I much prefer Ascendance for this one. Wellspring gives you a new spell, creates a surge of water that flows forward, healing targets in an arc in front of you. It is really good if everyone's going to always be in an arc in front of you, but they often aren't, so use Deeply Rooted Elements. So kind of situation-based, but I just like to go for Ascendance, especially for beginners, because it's passive and you don't have to think about as much. And in these beginner guides, I'm always building the build thinking of what is making it easier and more efficient for you to heal at maximum capacity, especially if you're a beginner. We have Deluge, Healing Wave, Healing Surge, and Chain Heal. Heal an additional amount on targets affected by your Healing Rain. So basically your healing is going to be increased when they're standing in your totemic Surging Totem. Every 4 casts of Riptide also applied Riptide to another friendly target. How fabulous. And then we have Downpour. Casting Surging Totem has a guaranteed chance to activate Downpour, allowing you to cast Downpour, which is the spell that then appears when you cast it. A burst of water at your Surging Totem's location heals up to allies, etc. And that's how we get that talent. So I think it's pretty obvious what Surging Totem does at this point. It replaces your Healing Rain. And then down here we have Whirling Elements. All of the rest of it's kind of enhances everything. Elemental Motes orbit your Surging Totem. Water. Your next Healing Wave or Healing Surge also heals an ally inside your Healing Rain, Surging Totem, at 100% effectiveness. Air. The cast time of your next healing spell is reduced, and Earth, the next chain heal, applies Earth Living at 150% effectiveness. And Earth Living is this enchant here that we get. So basically, when we put out our thingy, you can see these little motes going around it, and these will get used up when you do each one of the things I just said. Now let's move on to the changes we're going to do in the Mythic Plus rotation. I have 8 minutes to get this tutorial finished because I need to pick up my mother for Mother's Day lunch. It's Mother's Day this Sunday here in the UK that I'm filming this. So I'm like just checking the time, like, right, yeah, but hurry up. Mother won't be happy if I'm doing YouTube and not picking her up at the train station. Okay, so a few things are a bit different here. High Tide we still have, so, you know, use your High Tide with your Chain Heal. We do not have Unleash Life. Instead, we're going for Undulation. Every third healing wave or healing surge heals an additional amount. Because in Mythic Plus there's only 5 of us, and often we're healing people singularly a lot more, it makes a lot more sense to take Undulation as opposed to Unleash Life. So we've still got High Tide, you just can't enhance it further with Unleash Life in Mythic Plus. So when you get a High Tide, you know, cast your Chain Heal to heal everyone. Use your Healing Surge on a player if you've got Master of the Elements. So what is Master of the Elements? This is Mythic Plus, so we're looking to incorporate a bit of damage into here. Master of the Elements. Casting Lava Burst increases the healing of your next Healing Surge by 30%. So doing damage equals more healing. Healing Surge also will apply Flame Shock to a nearby enemy when empowered by Master of the Elements. So, okay, so how does this work? So we have Lava Burst here. If anyone isn't in like absolute categoric danger, we can do some damage of Lava Burst. Hurls molten lava at the target. It will always critically strike if the target has Flame Shock on them. So we cast a Lava Burst, and then we get the Master of the Elements buff, where the healing of your next Healing Surge is increased by 30%. So I then cast Healing Surge, and what you're going to see is that this nearby enemy here then has Flame Shock on them, suffering volcanic damage. When you use Lava Burst on that enemy, it will then always critical strike if they have Flame Shock. So there's a really nice symbiotic relationship here between casting Lava Burst, then using your empowered Healing Surge, which is going to put Flame Shock on the target, and then Lava Burst will always crit because you've got Flame Shock on the target. It actually works really, really nicely. I love it. Now you can see here that my Lava Burst has a proc on it, and that is from Lava Surge here. Your next Lava Burst casts instantly. So when you see that, you're also going to get an instant cast one, further increasing how easy it is to incorporate the Healing Surges, etc. I actually really like it when what Blizzard does is they actually incorporate DPS and healing together rather than just DPS when you can. I like it when it actually increases our healing in Mythic Plus. I think it's quite cool. Cast Riptide on cooldown on any, you know, individuals. Again, it's not the upgraded version. We just have Healing Stream Totem. So again, make sure you're not capping on 2 charges. Use your Surging Totem where people are. We do have Acid Rain, so ideally you'd be using it where the melee are, because it's going to do damage as well. Targets you heal with Healing Wave, Healing Surge, Chain Heal, and Riptide gain an additional increased health for 10 seconds. That is Ancestral Vigor. And you can use Downpour again if you need to do some extra healing where everyone is. Don't forget, we have Undulation. Every third healing wave heals for an additional 50%. So when you get Undulation, and you will know, ta-da, because it will actually look like a proc here, you know that you're going to get a massive increase in healing on your Healing Surge or your Chain Heal here, because this has got a High Tide. Keep up your Earth Shield on you and the tank at all times, or if somebody else is taking huge amounts of damage, you can put it on them, but generally you have to put it on the tank. Cast Chain Heal if multiple people need healing. And then don't get rid of and then we've got Nature's Swiftness again, which you can use on a Healing Surge or a Chain Heal, depends what you need it on. So it is Mythic Plus, so I am going to now talk about utilities. We've got a lot of them. Astral Shift reduces damage taken by 40% for 12 seconds. Bloodlust, of course, we've spoken about. Capacitor Totem summons a totem at the target location, and it will stun enemies after it explodes. Earthbind Totem reduces the movement speed of your enemies nearby. We've got Ghost Wolf. You can use this in Raiding and Mythic Plus, but it's a Ghost Wolf you can use indoors and outdoors and will massively increase your speed whenever you like on 0 cooldown. I love Ghost Wolf. Gust of Wind on 20-second cooldown hurls you forward. Great for getting in and out of places. You can Hex your enemies for a total of a minute to incapacitate them. Skyfu we've spoken about. Spirit Walker's Grace. This is amazing. Can take a bit of getting used to, but you can cast spells while moving. So, like, I can literally cast while moving. It does take a bit of brain power, because obviously you're like, oh, God, I'm trying to click and move and, you know, all of this. Which, yeah, can take a bit of brain power for that one. But it is what it is. It's really great if you get used to it and get good at it. Thunderstorm will damage everyone in an area, reducing their movement speed and knocking them upwards. You can use it while stunned. Water walking can sometimes be useful. You can walk on water. Wind Shear. Now, as a healer, this is amazing. This is an interrupt. We can interrupt our enemy spellcasting every 12 seconds. Not many healers can do it that often. It's fantastic. Reincarnation is something else I haven't spoken about. We can resurrect ourselves every 30 minutes. That's it. Ascendance, of course. Purify Spirit. You remove all magic and curse effects from a friendly target on an 8-second cooldown. Extraordinarily useful, especially in Mythic Plus, but also raiding as well. And there we go, guys. That is how you play Restoration Shaman in Season 2. I think it's in a really good place this season. I really, really do. If you're wondering about how I heal, I personally would use VuhDo. If you want to get my UI, you can do on my Patreon, which also massively supports the channel, and I massively appreciate anyone who does. You can get my total UI here on Patreon. See this little thing here, if you're a beginner? This is called a VuhDo. And what I have in VuhDo, like you can see if I left-click, it's Healing Surge. If I right-click, it's Chain Heal. I can put Riptide by middle-clicking, and obviously it'll have like all my party members, etc. This is like my healing frames. VuhDo is, I have got a tutorial on it. If you just use the search bar on my channel, I have got a whole tutorial on how I set up my VuhDo. But simply, if you install this add-on, all you really have to do is go to the Spells tab, and then you can see in here it says Healing Surge, left button. I could just type in Healing Surge. If I have Control, Primordial Wave, or right-click Healing Wave. So if I hold down Control and right-click, it's Healing Wave. If I don't hold down Control, so it's just right-click on its own, it's Chain Heal. You can also open your spellbook, and I can say Spirit Walker's Grace, and just drag it into there, rather than doing that. Mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down. You can see here I've got Purify Spirit and Earth Shield. So if I scroll down on my mouse wheel, it puts Earth Shield on. I think this is the easiest way to heal as a healer, and as a beginner, adding this one add-on and only using this little tab here is magnificent. When you install it, you will have some extra bits and bobs that you may not want. You just go to Move and delete like maybe pets or the tank ones that you may not want. And then you've got Buff Watch up here. I feel like we're all starting to get a bit complex now. But if you want to get rid of Buff Watch, you go to General and unenable. But what Buff Watch will do is, this is very, I don't know why this is so small. I could say, am I missing Water Shield? Because obviously you want your Water Shield up at all time. I'm surprised Earth Living Weapon isn't on here, but you can do this manually. Or am I missing Earth Shield? No, I'm not. So if I take off my Earth Shield and my Water Shield, can you see up here, it's like showing it as missing? So I think, oh, I better use my Earth Shield. Scroll down, and now it shows you that I've got Earth Shield on for an hour. So you can use Buff Watch for that as well, and you could just... what you can also do is just click it. I can actually click that button to add my Water Shield. Isn't that amazing? So it never lets you forget to add these things that you should always have up. So VuhDo Buff Watch is really good. But even as a beginner, I would just say use those two things. There's a lot more you can do in here, but if you're not used to this kind of healing, it will absolutely transform your healing, and honestly, it's so simple. But there you go, guys. I hope that was useful. As usual, check out all the other channel videos I've got for this season, and I hope you enjoyed. And again, I'm so sorry that it took me so long to do Restoration Shaman, but I did see you all bullying me in the comments. It does work. I do go, oh, okay, I better do that video.